The time was 2:17 a.m. The corridor of the old hotel was silent, except for one sound. Footsteps. Slow, careful, measured. Rohan stood outside his room, staring at the door in front of him. There was no room number on it, no nameplate, only deep scratch marks, as if someone had once tried very hard to get out. At the reception. The old man had barely looked at him while handing over the key. Room 13. He had said, keep the door locked from the inside. At night. Rohan had smiled. Then, it sounded like a line from a cheap horror movie. Now, standing here alone. His smile was gone. He pushed the door open. The air inside the room was cold. Not the cool kind, but the kind that felt wrong, as if the room had never known warmth. The lights flickered for a moment before settling into a dull yellow glow. There was a single bed, a wooden table, a chair pushed neatly under it, and a diary lying in the middle of the bed. Rohan picked it up. The cover was worn, the pages yellow with age. He opened it. The first few pages were empty. So were the next ones. Then he turned a page and stopped breathing. If you are reading this, I am standing behind you. Rohan froze. The room felt smaller. The silence felt heavier. He did not turn around. A soft sound reached his ears. A slow, uneven breath, close enough to feel against his skin. His heart pounded as he glanced toward the mirror on the wall. The reflection showed him sitting on the bed, holding the diary. But something was wrong. The reflection was smiling. Rohan was not. He shut his eyes and opened them again. The smile was still there. Then the reflection raised its hand and waved. Rohan dropped the diary and stood up so fast the chair fell backward. He turned around. The room was empty. No one was there. His phone buzzed in his pocket, making him jump. There was no network, no signal. Yet a message had appeared. Do not trust the mirror. Before he could react, the lights went out. The darkness was complete. From somewhere near the door, he heard the sound of the lock turning. And then a voice spoke, calm and familiar. You should not have taken this room. Yahin say story, or deep or disturbing, hone wally high. The time was 2:17 a.m. The corridor of the old hotel was silent, except for one sound. Footsteps. Slow, careful, measured. Rohan stood outside his room, staring at the door in front of him. There was no room number on it, no nameplate, only deep scratch marks, as if someone had once tried very hard to get out. The darkness did not move. Rohan stood still, listening to his own breathing. The voice he had heard near the door was gone, but the feeling of being watched had grown stronger. He reached into his pocket and turned on his phone's flashlight. The beam shook as it lit up the room. The door was closed now. The lock was turned. He was sure he had not locked it. He walked toward the door and tried the handle. It would not move. That was when he noticed something carved into the wood, just below the handle. The words were uneven, as if scratched with a fingernail. It reads you before you see it. Rohan stepped back. The phone light flickered, dimmed, then returned. When it did, the mirror on the wall was no longer showing his reflection. It showed the room, but from a different angle, as if someone else was standing in the corner, watching him. Slowly, a shape appeared in the mirror, tall, thin. Its face was dark, unfinished, like a shadow that had learned how to stand. Rohan turned toward the corner. Nothing was there. He looked back at the mirror. The thing was closer now. His phone buzzed again. Another message. Do not turn your back to it. A cold pressure touched his shoulder. He spun around. The room was empty, but the pressure did not leave. It tightened, like fingers digging into his skin. The lights came back on suddenly. The pressure vanished. Rohan collapsed onto the bed, gasping. His shirt was damp with sweat. He looked at his shoulder. Red marks, finger-shaped. The diary lay open on the floor. He had not touched it, but its pages were turning slowly on their own, stopping at a page filled with writing. He picked it up with shaking hands. The handwriting was messy, disparate. This room watches. This room remembers. If you stay, it learns your face. Rohan flipped the page. They all think it is a room. It is not. It is a mouth. A sound came from the walls. At first, it was soft, almost like wind moving through cracks. Then it became clearer. Whispers. Dozens of voices speaking at once. Overlapping, unfinished. Rohan backed away until his back hit the wall. The whispers grew louder. Names were being spoken. Names he did not recognize. And then put his own. He covered his ears, but the sound was inside his head now. Images flashed through his mind. People entering the room. People sleeping. People screaming. People staring at the mirror with empty eyes. The bed creaked. Something sat down behind him. The mattress sank under the weight. A voice spoke close to his ear. Gentle, almost kind. Everyone leaves something behind. Rohan turned his head slowly. He saw his own face staring back at him. Not a reflection. A copy. Its eyes were darker. Its smile too wide. You can leave, it said, but you will not go alone. The copy reached for him. Rohan screamed as the lights shattered, plunging the room into darkness once again. Outside the hotel. The corridor remained silent. At the reception desk. The old man turned a page in his register and wrote a new name under room 13. The scream never reached the corridor. Inside room 13. The darkness felt thick, almost solid, as if it could be touched. Rohan could feel the bed beneath him, but his body refused to move. The weight pressing him down was not physical. It was something deeper, something inside his chest. When the lights flickered back on. The room looked normal, too normal. The mirror showed only him. No shadow, no copy, no smile. For a moment, Rohan wondered if he had imagined everything. Then he noticed the diary. It was back on the table, closed, as if it had never been touched. His phone buzzed. No messages this time, just a single notification. Battery low. He checked the time. 2:17 a.m. The same time. His stomach tightened. He walked to the door again. This time the handle turned easily. The door opened into the corridor. Relief washed over him. He stepped outside. The corridor was empty, but something felt wrong. The lights were brighter than before, bit too bright. The walls looked freshly painted, as if the hotel had never been old. Rohan took a few steps forward. The sound of footsteps echoed behind him. He stopped. The footsteps stopped. Slowly, he turned around. The corridor stretched farther than it should have. The doors were evenly spaced, identical, each one without a number. At the far end stood the reception desk. The old man was there, writing something in his register. Rohan hurried toward him. "I want to check out," Rohan said. "Right now." The old man did not look up. "Everyone says that," he replied calmly. Rohan leaned over the desk and glanced at the register. Every page was filled with the same room number, 13. Next to each entry was a name. Some were crossed out, some were circled. Some were still being written, the ink moving slowly, forming letters on its own. Rohan's name was there, half written. His heart raced. "What is this place?" he asked. The old man finally looked up. "You are in between," he said. Not fully inside, not fully out. Rohan backed away. "I left the room," he said. "Bye. I'm not there anymore." The old man shook his head. "You never leave room 13, he said. You only think you do." The lights in the corridor began to dim, one by one, moving toward Rohan like a closing tunnel. The doors started to open. Inside each room, Rohan saw faces staring back at him. His face, older, younger, tired, broken. All of them. Smiling, the whispers returned, filling the corridor. "Stay, learn, become." Rohan ran. The corridors stretched endlessly. No matter how fast he ran, the reception desk never got closer. The floor beneath him softened, like skin under pressure. The walls began to breathe. His phone died in his hand. Total darkness swallowed him. When he opened his eyes, he was back in the room. Room 13. The diary lay open on the bed. A new line appeared on the page. "You are almost ready." Behind him, the mirror began to smile. Rohan stood still, staring at the words in the diary. "You are almost ready." The room was silent again. No whispers, no footsteps. Even the air felt calm, as if nothing terrible had ever happened here. That frightened him more than the darkness. He closed the diary and pushed it away. His reflection in the mirror copied every movement perfectly. No smile this time. No delay. Still, he did not trust it. He sat on the edge of the bed and tried to think clearly. If this room was looping time, trapping him at 2:17 a.m., then something had to change. Something had to break the pattern. He looked around and noticed something new. The walls, faint shapes, were visible beneath the paint. Faces, hundreds of them, pressed from the inside, like people trapped behind thin skin. A soft knocking began, not on the door. From inside the walls. Knock, knock, knock. The diary slid off the bed and opened again. The next page was already written. The room learns fear first, then memory, then identity. Rohan felt a sharp pain in his head. Memories that were not his own began flooding his mind. A woman crying, a child calling for help, a man praying in a language he did not understand. They all ended the same way, standing in front of the mirror, smiling. No. Rohan whispered, I'm not staying. The knocking grew louder. Cracks appeared in the walls. Fingers pushed through, stretching the paint until it tore. The mirror began to ripple, like water disturbed by a stone. His reflection spoke without moving its lips. You are already part of us. Rohan grabbed the chair and hurled it at the mirror. The glass shattered. For a moment, everything stopped. The whispers died. The knocking ceased. The walls went still. Rohan stared at the broken mirror, breathing hard. There was no reflection now, only darkness behind the glass. Then something stepped out. It was tall, its shape unfinished, like a shadow struggling to remember how to be human. Faces shifted across its surface, appearing and fading. It moved closer. The room shook. You broke the window, it said, its voice layered with many voices. Now you must replace it. The door slammed shut. The walls began closing in. Rohan felt his memories slipping. His name, his past, his face. Everything felt distant, blurry. He screamed his name out loud, over and over, trying to hold on to it. The thing stopped, for the first time. It hesitated. Rohan understood then. The room fed on silence. Bond, surrender. As long as he remembered who he was, it could not fully take him. He grabbed the diary and began tearing pages out, shouting names written inside. Names of people who had been trapped before him. The room screamed. Lights exploded. The floor cracked open. Rohan was pulled backward, falling into darkness. When he opened his eyes, sunlight burned his vision. He was lying on the road. The hotel stood behind him, new, clean, normal. Room numbers were clearly visible. There was no room 13. An ambulance siren echoed in the distance. Rohan laughed, then cried. He was free. Or so he thought. That night, at exactly 2:17 a.m., his phone buzzed. A message appeared. We are still learning you. Asterisk from the corner of his room. The mirror smiled. Rohan did not sleep that night. He sat on the edge of his bed, eyes fixed on the mirror across the room. Every few minutes, he checked the time on his phone. 2:05 a.m., 2:11 a.m., 2:14 a.m. At 2:16 a.m., the air in the room changed. It became heavier, like the moment before a storm. The faint hum of electricity faded, and the room felt slightly out of place, as if it were no longer fully connected to the world. Rohan stood up. "I'm awake," he said out loud. "You can't take me if I'm awake." The mirror remained still to 17 a.m. The lights blinked once. The mirror fogged from the inside. Asterisk words began to appear slowly, bitten as if by an invisible finger. "You carried us out." Rohan stepped back. Asterisk. "I left that place," he said. "I destroyed the mirror." The words wiped themselves away. "You were the mirror." Asterisk pain shot through his head. Memories twisted. He saw himself in the hotel room again, screaming names, tearing pages. But now he saw something else, too. Asterisk. When the mirror shattered, something had entered him. Asterisk. Not fully, just enough. The mirror in his room cleared. His reflection stared back. It blinked out of sync. Asterisk. "You survived because you resisted." The reflection said. Asterisk. "But survival has a cost." Asterisk. Rohan shook his head. "Get out of my head." "We are not in your head," it replied. "We are in your habits, your fear, your silence." The reflection leaned closer to the glass. Room 13 no longer needs walls. The room darkened. Rohan felt his mouth move against his will. Asterisk. "What do you want?" "To be seen," the reflection said. "To be remembered." Asterisk. Images flooded his mind again, but this time they were clearer. People who had escaped before him. People who thought they were free. People who carried the room with them. Each one became a doorway. Each one became a new room. 13. Rohan grabbed a cloth and covered the mirror. The room went quiet. Asterisk. For days, nothing happened. Weeks passed. Life tried to feel normal again. Asterisk. But mirrors began appearing where they had not been before. Reflections in shop windows lingered too long. Phone screens stayed dark just long enough to show something smiling back. Asterisk. Rohan stopped looking at his own reflection. Asterisk. Then one night, he dreamed of a corridor, endless doors on both sides, all numbered 13. When he woke up, his throat hurt. On his bedside table lay a diary, worn YELLOWED. Open to the first written page. "If you are reading this, I am standing behind you." Rohan closed his eyes. Somewhere, a door unlocked itself. Asterisk. And somewhere else, someone checked into a hotel, unaware that room 13 no longer needed to exist to be entered. Asterisk. That was the word Rohan could not forget. Asterisk. It followed him everywhere, in the rhythm of his breathing, in the way his heart beat when the room was silent, in the pause between one thought and the next. Asterisk, he tried to stay awake, but sleep always came, and every time it did, the corridor returned. This time, he was not walking through it. He was standing still. The doors moved instead. Asterisk, they slid past him slowly, one by one, each marked with the same number. Each door whispered something different as it passed. Regrets, secrets, last thoughts. Asterisk, when the final door stopped in front of him, it did not open. It knocked from the inside. Rohan woke up gasping. Morning light filled the room. Birds outside. Traffic noise. Normal life. For a few seconds he felt relief. Then he saw his hands. Asterisk, there were faint scratches on his palms. Fresh, as if his fingers had clawed at wood. Asterisk, that day. He tried something different. He spoke to people, to noise, to anything that would not let silence grow. He kept the television on, music playing, lights bright. The mirror stayed covered. That night, 2:17 a.m. came and went. Nothing happened. The next night, by the same. For the first time in weeks, Rohan smiled. On the fourth night, the power went out. The apartment fell silent. No fan, no music, no street noise. Silence. From behind the covered mirror came a soft sound. Asterisk A. Single knock. Rohan did not move. Another knock. Slower. Closer. Asterisk. Then a voice, barely above a breath. Asterisk. You learned how to run. The cloth slipped from the mirror on its own. Rohan's reflection stood there. Calm. Familiar. Older. You forgot one thing, it said. Asterisk. Rohan swallowed. What? The reflection tilted its head. Rooms change, it replied. Asterisk, but habits don't. Asterisk, behind Rohan. His bedroom door creaked open. Not his door. Another one. Asterisk A. Door that should not have been there. Asterisk, darkness spilled out. Cold and patient, measured. The reflection smiled.